It's a little bit more sheltered down here. We're at the delightful location of Maughold Lighthouse, and it's pronounced Maughold apparently, but it's spelled Maughold. I couldn't get my head around that one the first time I heard it, and I'm currently trying to find a place to put the tripod that isn't too bouncy, because I'm still getting a bit of a breeze coming over the tops. You go up there, you can hardly stand up. But that's the subject that we've come to shoot. Whoops, it's even better when it's straight. We've actually got a few clouds in the distance, so I'm hoping we're going to get some light. Now I'm going to get set up. As I say, I've got to have a hunt around. The ground is all very spongy, grass and heather. So I need to find somewhere that I can put the tripod that isn't too springy, because if we get a gust of wind, that's just going to wipe it out altogether. Oh, gust of wind like that. Right, I've scrabbled down the embankment slightly, and that's a trick in itself, because it's been so goddamn wet. The grass is ridiculously slippery, and one false move, I'm going to end up in the water, which isn't the plan. So my bag is safely on a flat bit, or the only flat bit I can find, and done up. I've got the tripod set so that one of the legs is facing what is very, very slightly leaning backwards, and one of the legs is slightly further extended out at the side, just to try and give it a bit of stability, although we are quite sheltered here. The wind has been coming in from behind. Every now and then it just swirls round and comes up here. But it's ridiculously slippery. Now there's another little spot I've just seen. I don't know if you'll make it out. There's a little patch of concrete or tarmac just down here. I might go and have a look and see what sort of a composition we can get from there. But I've set up purely with the 10 to 20 on, because it's such a big vista. The 17 to 55, I'd have had to have been stood at the top, and I wouldn't have been able to do anything because of the bloody wind. So I'm on about 16 mil. I am at f14, ISO 100, and I've got 10 seconds on the clock. Now I'm using timer again. I still have it on mirror up, so my first press of the button lifts the mirror, then it settles, then I press the shutter, and off we go. And I think, yeah, that's working out quite nicely. I've got the 10 stop in, because I wanted a little bit of smoothness in the water. I don't know if we're getting any... No, it's actually surprisingly calm down there. There's a little bit of water movement around the base of the lighthouse, the rocks at the bottom. But it is actually surprisingly smooth. We are getting a little bit of colour. Not a lot, just a little bit. So I'm just going to keep on shooting and see what occurs. Now I know that the tripod and the camera are fairly stable, I'm just going to have a quick nose down there, see if I can work out. Oh, I do like that. That's bringing the turquoise out in the water. Something wonderful. And that is on white balance. That's on 10,000 kelvins, which is a lot higher than I would normally have it with the 6 stop. But the colours that it's giving me are actually 99% of what my eye is seeing. Lovely pastel tones. Yeah, no unusual warmth in the image other than what is already there, and you can see the sky is kind of beginning to light up. I've had a wander down to here. That little patch of tarmac there is actually a pathway leading up to the lightkeeper's house. The lighthouse keeper's house. Doesn't sound right, that does it? But when you get there, it's a difficult composition as it is, because essentially all you've got is the wall, the lighthouse, and a large expanse of ocean. Excuse me, just going to trigger another exposure. And standing there, it was even harder to get something that was half decent. I ended up with the lighthouse actually coming right across the image, which just doesn't work for me. So I've come back to this spot. I had to wander down and around here. There's lots of little sort of paths. I'm guessing there must be sheep or something up here. but there's nowhere solid enough to put the tripod down. It's too stringy. Even with the little bit of breeze, because as I say, we're quite sheltered here, the little bit of breeze, it's still going to pick up movement. I really don't want that. Now, the cloud that we had that was threatening to light up has all dissipated. Thanks, wind. Appreciate that one. There was a bit of colour inland, so we're going to go inland tomorrow night if it's not pouring with rain. Try something on the other side of the island. We're starting to get a bit of a glow, a bit of a pastel hue, which is fab. I love it when the sky goes pastel. I'm not sure what this is doing. It's better. So I think really that's it. There's nothing else going to happen here tonight now. So I'm just going to finish this exposure and then I'm going to clamber my way back up the top, very unladylike. It's hands and knees, because I say this grass is so slippy. It's time to go for tea. And the lighthouse light has started flashing. I don't know how many times a minute it flashes. There must be a pattern to it so that ships can recognise what it is. But it does take a while to come round. But because of the angle we're at, and obviously it's still bright, I'm not going to pick up any light beams from it. It's going to prove me wrong now, isn't it? It does take a while to come round. Wait for it. There it is. If I stood here long enough, I'd show you. Right, so thanks for coming along. I'll catch up with you at the next location. Bye. From a very wild and windy Castleton. I can't get the gimbal out, it's too windy. I can't get my tripod out, it's too windy. It's blowing a hoolie. I'm hoping you can hear me. I've come down to shoot that little lighthouse with the waves crashing over. There's 50-mile-an-hour gusts this morning. I'm quite close to where the sea is coming in. There's a bit of a breakwater down there. I can't get a video camera out to record any B-roll at all. It's just too windy. So I'm going to put the phone down. I'm going to get the camera out. I'm going to be shooting on shutter priority. Sorry. Yeah, shutter priority, because I want to catch the wave action, so I need to speed up the shutter time. So no long exposures yet. I couldn't do a long exposure if I needed to because the wind would just blow the camera over. Right, back in a bit. That was an unexpected way to spend the morning. I actually started off out at Ramsey again. I'm desperately trying to shoot the pier, the old Queen Victoria, I think it's called the Queen Victoria Pier, or the Queen's Pier. But again, the tide was just so far in, it just wasn't going to work for what I wanted. So I gave up and thought I'd come down to have a look at some rock formations at Scarlett. And I was just eyeing up possible compositions for when the tide starts to go out, which is about, excuse me, hair in my eyes, and about 20 minutes ago, I think. And I turned around and saw the lighthouse. It's a really dinky little lighthouse. I think it's more likely to be classed as a beacon, but I'm not sure. And I've stayed up there, I've gone through 2 memory cards. God knows if I've got anything worth showing. But because it's a very small lighthouse, as in not tall, the images aren't going to be anywhere near as impressive as those that you see from Porthcawl on the mainland, and a couple of other lighthouses over there. New Haven was another one. So they're nowhere near as impressive. But I think I'm happy. I think I've got a couple that I quite like. And I'll probably do some image blending, because the wave starts off at the far end and then travels down the wall. But obviously it's really difficult to catch that in one shot. So I might do a couple of image blends just to show how the wave travels down the wall. Whew. I ended up putting on the 70-200 just to get out a little bit closer, a couple of different sort of points of view. I had a go at photographing waves, but they're not really big enough, sort of Rachel Talibart-ish. And I'll pop a link to Rachel's channel. She doesn't have a channel, sorry, her website. She is amazing at photographing waves, absolutely amazing. So hints and tips, do I have any? Be prepared to spend hours longer than you expected when you get a bit of a storm coming in over a harbour wall. Carry cloths with you to keep your lens clean. The front element gets spray on it. I did fairly well around the corner. There wasn't too much spray coming up. I was kind of sheltered a little bit for the most part, and then I had a lens hood on. So if you have a lens hood, put it on. Keep your bag zipped up, slightly back from where you are, somewhere where you think it's not going to get washed away or drowned by a rogue wave, but keep it zipped up, keep the weatherproof cover over it, which is what I did with mine, and it should be safe. Right, it's now around about, as I say, 10ish, 10:30. I desperately need some breakfast. I'm starving. So I'm going to go back down to Scarlett, put the heater on, and have some brekkie and a brew. But it's actually quite wild down here. It's a lovely little harbour. You can see it's washing up all the seaweed. And in this corner, every now and then, whoops, we get a rogue wave coming over the wall. And I was going to try and shoot the waves coming over this way, but they seem to be up this end rather than down there now, which I think is because the tide is on its way out. Right, catch up with you in a bit.